There is a certain kind of question that sits at the boundary of faith and reason. It's not some abstract puzzle, but a lived reality, one that's felt in the space between a belief in a benevolent order and the raw, undeniable experience of pain. It is the problem of suffering, a quiet dissonance that has echoed through human thought for millennia. The question often takes its most potent form not in works of philosophy, but in moments of quiet desperation. It's found in the suffering of the innocent, the kind of pain that seems to defy any sense of a just or benevolent design to the world. And it's this specific, harrowing image that brings the dilemma into focus more than any abstract argument ever could. And when we trace the outline of this question, we see a familiar pattern of thought, a series of attempts to navigate the immense space it opens up. The conflict really isn't just that bad things happen. It's that they seem to happen without any reason or merit. It's the suffering of the truly innocent, the random, seemingly cruel turns of fate that creates the deepest challenge, a profound dissonance between what is believed and what is observed. At the heart of it all, there's a logical tension. The idea of an all-loving presence, well, that suggests a desire to end suffering. And the idea of an all-powerful one suggests the ability to do so. But the existence of immense, undeserved pain stands as a silent counterpoint to both. The three ideas seem unable to peacefully coexist. In the face of this tension, of course, attempts at reconciliation have emerged. Explanations have been crafted over centuries, each one seeking to somehow bridge the gap between faith and the painful reality of the world, to find a reason that might resolve this apparent contradiction. One of the most endearing explanations centers on human freedom. The thinking goes that for love and goodness to be meaningful, choice has to be genuine. And a genuine choice must, by its very nature, include the capacity to choose what is harmful, to inflict pain. In this view, suffering is the terrible price of a freedom that makes true goodness possible in the first place. Now, this line of reasoning seems to offer a framework for understanding the suffering caused by human hands, what's often called moral evil. But the explanation falls silent when faced with suffering that arises from the earth itself. Disease, disasters, pain that has no human author. This natural evil seems to exist completely outside the calculus of human decision. When human choice isn't a sufficient explanation, another idea often emerges, that suffering isn't an obstacle to growth, but a catalyst for it. In this view, hardship is a kind of furnace that forges character, building compassion and courage in ways a painless existence never could. But this idea carries a heavy moral weight. What lesson is learned by an infant in pain, or by someone whose spirit isn't forged but is simply broken by their ordeal? The concept of soul building becomes unsettling when the suffering seems to serve no purpose for the one who has to endure it. It risks justifying a pain whose lesson may never, ever be learned. And when these earthly reasons feel insufficient, when the explanations of this world seem to strain and break under the pressure, the perspective widens. The arguments begin to point beyond the visible horizon, suggesting that our human frame of reference is just too narrow to grasp the full picture. And here, the argument turns toward mystery. It suggests that our human understanding is simply not equipped to comprehend divine reasons. From this perspective, trying to judge the workings of the universe from our finite viewpoint is an act of profound arrogance, an assumption that our limited intellect could, or even should, be able to grasp an infinite plan. The gap in understanding is sometimes framed as a difference in kind, not just in degree. You hear the analogy of an ant trying to comprehend calculus. The problem isn't just that the subject is difficult, but that the observer may lack the fundamental capacity required for comprehension. The scale of the divine plan is seen as simply beyond the architecture of the human mind.
And yet, a quiet question remains. Is this appeal to mystery an act of profound humility, an honest acknowledgement of our own limits? Or is it a way of insulating a belief from criticism, an intellectual escape from a problem that just feels too difficult to face directly? The line between the two can be hard to discern.
Of course, there is another possibility. Perhaps the search for a divine purpose in suffering is fruitless because no such purpose exists. This thought is the foundation of a very different worldview, one that begins not with a divine plan, but with its complete absence. From this perspective, suffering stops being a problem in the theological sense. It's simply a feature of reality, a consequence of natural laws. Without a divine creator in the equation, the need to justify pain or reconcile it with the benevolent nature, it disappears. The question itself just dissolves. While this view might be simpler, it carries its own profound weight. It suggests a universe that is indifferent to human pain, where suffering is the impersonal result of biology and pure chance. In a universe like that, there is no ultimate justice, no built-in purpose to our pain. Any meaning we find has to be created by us, not discovered out there. In the end, it seems neither position offers a truly comfortable resolution. Both the believer and the non-believer are left to confront the same deep, uncomfortable reality of suffering. Each one stands before it from their own vantage point, but neither finds an easy place to rest. The tension remains. One worldview wrestles with the moral problem of a good God presiding over a world filled with pain. The other wrestles with the existential problem of finding meaning and purpose in a universe that offers none of its own. Neither path escapes the weight of its own unique burden. It may be that this is a question without a neat, intellectual answer. The explanations from every side seem to strain under the sheer weight of real pain. And so, perhaps the more enduring question is not how suffering is to be explained, but how it is to be met in ourselves and in others.